Mr. Joseph Mayo. You have a couple of Trackman Maestro. What other? Do you have any other ones?
No, that was it. Joseph Mayo Golf now on Instagram.
Joseph Mayo Golf on Instagram. Joe, we're here at Ping. What are some of the things you pulled away from this whole experience? Everybody hanging out together and going through some of the research.
Well, it was just cool sharing ideas with other instructors and learning from the PhDs. You know, Paul, Eric, Sasha. Actually, I learned a lot talking to John Graham. We were talking about putting. Actually, I learned some things from him. And then yesterday we had the big wedge conference, and that was good. Seeing all the data, seeing the results of that study where I think they hit like 4,000 shots. So there was a lot to take from that, and I posted some stuff on my Instagram, and hopefully instructors are using that, getting better, getting smarter, which is at the end of the day, that's our intention.
Yeah, I feel like, so with the wedge stuff, I mean, what I got from it, and you can tell me what you got from it, there was, part of it was, okay, you know, golfers of both, say, high handicap skill level, all the way to tour players, had steep angle of attacks, and they also had some that, and I'm talking about into the ball, going to the ball measured. They had steep angle of attack going to the ball, and they also had slightly hitting up on it. Again, tour players hit some shots that were hitting up on it. High handicappers had balls that were hitting up on it. It wasn't defined whether those hitting up on it or hitting down on it shots were good shots or bad shots.
Right.
It was just they didn't give like an outcome to it. And there was more of the high handicappers that had to hit up on it, which is going to kind of influence the day in that regard. And then when it came to the angle of attack on the ground, again, there was probably more of a shift towards I believe the tour guys on the downside of it, because there was so much of that up that skewed the data with the high handicappers.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, like if we're to take the take home is that anybody who's demonizing down, that's not correct.
No.
Demonizing shallow, that's probably not correct either.
No.
And I think that's been part of where you've been misunderstood, that you're just saying, hey, you got to hit like very steep on it. That's not what you're saying. You're more saying, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure what word in your mouth. You're more saying that any demonization of hitting down on it is just not accurate as well.
It's 100% not accurate. And when I started releasing short game stuff, almost 2 years ago now, I never said shallow was bad. As a matter of fact, there are times when shallow is fantastic. And anybody that says differently has not measured. If we had the best players in the world out here right now hitting little soft pitch shots, you're going to see angles of attack. They might be 1 degree down, 2 degrees down, 3 degrees down. That's just simply a measured fact. But if we also have the best players in the world and we ask them, hey, hit that low spinner to that back pin, that angle of attack is going to go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, we saw today angles of attack out here measured that were 12, 13, 14 down, hitting those low spinners. And not only did we see that, but we also noticed that oftentimes when those angles of attack go to double digits down, we do not see gouging of the earth. We do not see
huge
that.
Difference between angle of attack and what's happening to the turf. That's one of the things that I think people got to wrap their head around. Those are two different things. You can have a very steep angle of attack and not take much of a dip into the ground.
100%. As I've said to you before, the steepest angle of attack I ever measured was 17 degrees down, and he didn't dig the earth. And we're talking the top 5 player in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. And one last thing that I'd like to add is that study. It was done on a mat. I would like to see it off of grass. I would, sure. and I'd like to get it off of grass and probably put it into a situation where the lie is very dangerous. I would like to see the study done when the lie is very grainy, very grabby, very dangerous, because I believe, and I think I asked you yesterday, do you believe that data would shift? And I think there was a consensus that it probably would.
Yeah, I would guess there's certain lies that are going to probably make that sort of angle attack for all populations, or at least let's say better populations who are actually able, like better players who are actually able to pull off the shot.
Yeah.
Because if someone doesn't know what they're doing, maybe it doesn't shift. I don't know, right? But like for someone who does know what they're doing, my guess is that there's certain shots that are going to definitely skew it, the average angle attack to much more down.
And also, if you make a mistake, the result becomes a disaster. It's a catastrophic.
But then there's probably certain shots, like if someone needs more stopping power, things like that, where the angle of attack may shift more shallow also for
100%.
For all, like that better player population.
Yeah, when you want to start launching it at 34, then 38, then above 40, and for the people watching this, a launch angle of 40 degrees looks like it's straight up.
Yeah.
40 is a monstrous launch, but there's times to hit that. You short-sighted yourself over a bunker to a tight cut pin, that launch angle is going to go up, and without question, that angle of attack is going to shallow out.
Okay, so going forward with things, I got two questions for you. First one is, what's a piece of research that you would love to see? Like if you had kind of like your own pet research going forward that you're like, man, that'd be really fun to look at.
Bunkers.
Okay.
Bunkers, and we did that today. We got the high-speed camera in the bunker. I'm excited to see that data. I'm excited to see what actually happens. And I want to see two things. I want to see when the first granule of sand is moved, when that wedge just touches the surface. I want to see where we are. And then I don't really know how they're going to measure it, but maybe when the ball starts to move, because obviously the wedge is in the sand. When the ball starts to
That's
oscillate
like
or
ball
move,
contact or something, right?
get those 2 points. I'm eager to see that.
I think in general, that's kind of it's like, for me at least, pulling away from these last few days, eventually I would love to see these launch monitors measure first contact with the ground,
Yes,
and then contact with the ball, almost like two sort of contact point data points.
And I wonder if we're asking a little too much at this point. I wonder if we are.
Yeah.
Angle of attack is tough. We know that. It's tough.
Asking too much in terms of is it possible to pull it out accurately?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe. And then the second thing I would like to see, and Chris, I'm not optimistic on this one. And you and I, we've talked about this before. I've talked about it with other instructors. I would love to be able to find out what the golfer is actually doing at the handle, instead of having to back calculate. I like to be able to measure it, and I am not optimistic about that anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, even there's some pressure stuff going on, but that's not forces on the handle. That's just the pressure. So
sure.
So okay, so in talking about instructors in general, I think you've carved an interesting place in the industry where you've been critical, but I think with the good intentions to really push the industry going forward. Where would you like to see the golf industry, instruction industry?
If I had it my way,
yeah,
less opinions, more measuring. If I had it my way. And we're not going to get into why the opinions are there. We're not going to get into motives. That's not the purpose of this. But I would like to see the industry move toward what we've done the last 2 days. I said it today, it would be great if we had 100 instructors lined up out here against this wall watching what we did the last 2 days. I think it would be invaluable to their careers, invaluable to their education. So without fail, moving away from opinions, moving toward measured objective data, if I had it my way.
And I think at the very minimum, it's like, there might be a space where someone sort of ventures out from what's kind of like evidence-based, but not because they're not familiar with the evidence-based. Like they're familiar with it and they're like, hey, look, for whatever reason, I'm going to kind of live in this area, but they're not going in direct contradiction to things that have been really shown to be happening. You
said it, and that's how I feel. And as I said, we're not going to talk about how or why that's occurring, but just suffice it to say it is occurring, and I would like to see less of it if I had it my way.
Joe, it's always fun to hang.
My pleasure, buddy. You got it.